Jim Harbaugh spoke yesterday. I know part of your news update coming up was him being asked the direct question about his record since coming back to campus, and certainly record against Ohio State and Michigan State. It is not good. That's part of your news update, correct?
Correct.
You kind of gave me that look before the show, kind of like, what'd you think about that, Rich? Like,
Yeah.
are you gonna talk about it today? We're gonna put it in the show today?
Right.
Like you'd have been disappointed with me if I said I don't want to touch that, right?
I think I would have done it anyway. It's big
You
news.
would've. You would've.
Big news, big story, big coach. Your coach. You're a very vocal member of the Michigan alumni. Very famous, very popular. You have lots of opinions. So, yeah, got to talk about these things.
All right. So we'll do that.
Okay, good.
What?
Facts are facts, man.
Okay. And then let's get Syracuse's number for next hour. Can we do that, please? Let's get that.
We don't have a good football program like you claim to do.
So, but he was asked about the college football playoff system. We had Scott Frost, new Nebraska coach, on a couple weeks ago. Jim Harbaugh echoing Scott Frost's sentiments that there should be an 8-team playoff, and then going even a step further.
I guess the first thing that comes to mind is more would be more. More would be better. You know, in the playoffs, 4 in right now. Let's go to 8 and eventually get to 16.
Wow, 16.
16 would be. I've again years ago.
A lot.
I did a piece on SportsCenter showing a 16-team arrangement, and it would start in the middle of December and go all the way to the middle of January, where everything ends right now, and it would be an absolute extravaganza that makes March Madness look absurd. And you could easily do it with 8 teams having a home team, an actual home game in their home stadium, and 8 other teams needing to travel again. Now, in the middle of December, you could say about this, that, the other thing. With studies, let's not kid each other, all right? That's A. B, well, what about the number of games that the kids are already playing? James Franklin had a retort when asked about expanding the current playoff system, in which Penn State did not make it last year, and Ohio State did, despite not playing in the Big Ten championship game. Go for it.
People talk about expanding the playoffs and things like that. I'm not on the same page with that. This game, we started out playing 10 games, then we went to 11 games, then 12 games, and now with the playoffs, you're talking about 15 games. That's a lot of games.
By the way, it's 2 years ago that happened with Ohio State making and Penn State not. I say this. Yes, you don't want these kids playing a professional sports schedule. Then play fewer games. Play fewer. First things first. Get rid of the conference championship title games. Get rid of them. Out. 2 years in a row, we've now had a team not play in their conference championship game and make the field of 4. It was Ohio State 2 years ago, and it was Alabama last year. 2 years in a row. Proof. What are we doing here? And Alabama won it all last year. Okay? Now, we all know Ohio State made it. Penn State did not. And they didn't even score a point in their playoff game. Now, it was embarrassing. But last year, the team that didn't even play in the conference championship won it all. Get rid of that. And if you get rid of that and you make it 8 teams, then the one extra game that they're playing is one fewer game. It's all a wash.
Right.
Because if the team's making a current playoff format, they're playing 2 games. You get rid of the conference championship game and make them play another playoff game. Same number of games. Am I wrong? Or am I right? Unless they get to skip the conference championship game, then they are playing one extra game. But that's a farce anyway. And then get rid of the warm-up games that you see. That every single team plays against a team that gets paid for the right to get beaten up.
Right, 1 AA games.
Right, you'll see that usually in the Big Ten towards the end of September. Alabama always plays it the week before Auburn. Get rid of that. Get a little bit more of scheduling on the books that is uniform and go to work and give us what we want, which is the UCFs of the world taking on the top-ranked team in the world, and see what happens. Cinderella putting on a glass slipper right on Christmas Day in an 18 playoff? We don't want that. You don't want that? We want that. Allow me to speak for everybody. What we don't want is to hear Jim Harbaugh losing to Ohio State and Michigan State and being asked about it, and Chris Brockman insisting it gets in the show. Give me this sort of hound dog look. You're going to ask me today. We're going to talk about it.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.